Hi again, so soon. You don't know, but I'm recording this right after the weekly forecast. And we're going to look at Pope Leo. And I can't wait to do it. And I may come back with further thoughts, but I just like this guy already. You know, yes, I'm not a fan of the church as a whole, but Pope Leo was raised up and made cardinal by Pope Francis, who was probably one of the better popes that we've ever had in many ways, and was quite reforming for a pope. Well, I think this guy might be even more so. He's said to be conservative doctrinally with some doctrine, but socially more progressive. So I guess we'll see. But I think his chart shows this. Anyway, we're going to look at his chart. I'm going to look at his progress chart, because I think that really shows something. And I also want to show you the Hierophant card. And I want to go off the usual deck that I've been using, even though I do love the Hierophant card in the Red Threads Tarot. I want to show you an image of it in the Toss Tarot, which is really kind of my long-term favorite one, and it is the Pope card. So I'll show you that. Let me show you that now, in fact. And incidentally, the Hierophant card is actually the Taurus card, and we do have the Sun in Taurus, and we have Uranus in Taurus, with the Sun coming to meet it. So we've got that happening coming up. So let me show you this Hierophant card at first. Okay, here we go. And I love this card because I'm a life path 5, and this is my card. This is the 5 card. This is the Venus pointed star. Look at this card. Now, for those of you that do not know, a Hierophant was a translator of the mysteries. It's called the Pope card, and it does make that Pope figure. But Hierophants traditionally were not preachers as such. They translated the mysteries and the texts and things, and they were more guides. Okay, but look at this one. Okay, this is Isis here with the sword of truth pointing down. I'm actually going to pull a couple of other cards, and I love this card because it has mind, body, spirit here, or the Holy Trinity, but it also has 5 petaled rose behind the Pope's head, and that's related to Venus. Venus is very strong right now. Okay, so, and we're just coming out of that Venus retrograde. Here is the pentagram, the Venus pentagram, 5-pointed star. For those of you that have done my class, you will know all about that. And you can see we have different elements all around the side. And so, yes, here's my book. Sorry. I want to read you what Angelis Arian says about the Hierophant card, okay, because I haven't touched this deck for a while because I've been into the red threads. But this one is about the principle of learning and teaching. So it says, as you teach, so will you learn. If that is true, and it is true indeed, do not forget that what you teach is teaching you. That's from the Course in Miracles. So, you know, there's so much richness in this card. So, you know, there's the central male figure in pre-Christian times was Osiris, the Egyptian god of intuition, who strongly believed in the properties of intuition. And Osiris married Isis. Sorry, she was the goddess of intuition. He was the god of wisdom. So we have mind and intuition here, right? And then we have the divine child Horus in the middle here. This is such a good sign in my view. Now, I'm not going to read you all about this card, which is so rich in symbolism, But because it's generally known as the Pope card, I think how appropriate that we have this with the Sun in Taurus. But there's more to say about that. So let me dive into the chart. Oh, I can't see the chart. There it is. Okay, so let me share. First of all, this guy is Virgo. We don't have a time, so it's potential that he could have had a moon in Leo. I don't think so. I think he's very Virgo, and I think he's very much of service from what I've read about him. He's very Jesuit in nature, which is what Francis was. He did call himself Pope Leo, though, but apparently Pope Leo was a reformer before. But he is Pope Leo the 14th, 14.5, the Hierophant. Whoa! So there's that. So this is his chart. We don't know his birth time, of course, but he was born with a sun at 21 degrees Virgo, and he has Venus and Mars both in Virgo as well. Humble service, bringing people together in divine service in many, many ways. Vesta in Virgo, so that's his inner flame and focus and commitment, and then the moon in Virgo. Born on a, even if he was just a Leo moon, which I really don't think he is, he was born in the dark moon phase, right before a new moon. So this guy is very humble, very internal, and from what I read, that's what people say about the guy. Apparently, he was probably going to be very surprised that he um, was chosen. Right, but look at his nodes as well. He has the node, South Node in Gemini, and the North Node in Sagittarius, square to his Sun. So all this Virgo, he's just like driven to be of service, whereas his North Node is in Sagittarius, which is very much kind of the judge, but also the Hierophant figure in many, many ways. And well, there's more I could say about all of this, but I'm not going to go through his whole chart. I also love that he has all this stellium here in Capricorn, Black Moon Lilith, Chariklo, Ceres, and Hecate in another earth sign, bringing him really down to earth to create more balance and structure. And he's going to be very stable, I think, for this, despite being a mutable sign. There's so much beauty in this, in my opinion. He has Chiron, which I always think of in many ways as a very true Christ consciousness figure. His Chiron is at 0 Aquarius, which is a hot degree where we've had many conjunctions, including the great mutation of Jupiter and Saturn. 0 Aquarius, 0 Aquarius. If you want to see all the degrees, all the conjunctions that were at 0 Aquarius, including Venus, Ceres, and Pluto last December the 7th, all at 0 Aquarius, indicating that I think he's going to be a real healer for the future. Okay, so there's other things I will say about him, but for now, let's bring in, this was the moment the white smoke came out, announcing a new pope. Jupiter by transit was right on his Gemini South Node, opposing his Jupiter guided North Node and squaring his Sun. And so Jupiter, the Hierophant, the priest, this is this is him. He is kind of meant to kind of be a leader in this church, and I think he's going to modernize in many ways because his Chiron is opposing Uranus, and Pluto has just stationed retrograde 1 solar minute ago on Pholus, which is another healing centaur of kind of taking the lid off things that need to change for the future. I'm just like, oh, wow, wow. Black Moon Lilith is on his Neptune. I think that's really good for bringing the more feminine kind of energy of healing in. Apparently, he's a great supporter of migrants and so on. So a couple of things he tweeted, actually, or retweeted. So he tweeted, JD Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others. And he also retweeted messages that denounced our apparent leaders in the US immigration policies, particularly what he described as unlawful deportations. His outspokenness, this is from No More Going High, a Substack blog. His outspokenness on these matters signals a commitment to advocating for compassion and inclusivity, values that defined Pope Francis' papacy. So one he retweeted was it was a thing about the illicit deportation of another migrant, and he said, he retweeted, is your conscience not disturbed? Do you not see the suffering? How can you stay quiet? Okay. So I think he's actually, going to be quite outspoken. He's a little bit younger. He was born in 1955, and as you can see, just 4 years older than me. So he's not turned 70 yet. He's turned 70 in September, on my brother's birthday, actually. His son's square my son, so I can tune into him very well. But also look at this, Nessus, healing abuses of power, opposing his son in the white smoke chart. Also, the nodes by transit sitting on his Venus. And we had the March the 14th eclipse at 23 Virgo right on his Venus. It's his time, his moment. But Jupiter on this was raising him up to this Sagittarius North Node at 22 degrees. He's going to be a powerful voice for compassion, for truth, and for interconnectedness. I could go on, lots and lots of things, but I do want to say that Mars is transiting our apparent leader in the USA's Pluto right now. And so the moment he was picked is already pinging our apparent leader in so many ways. Okay, so I'm not going to go on and on about the moment that he was picked, because I do actually want to show you his progress chart. By progression, which means the planets move a day for a year. And that means we usually only look at the very fast moving planets. So the moon, he has a progressed moon in Pisces. He has a 7 life path as well, which I think is the most spiritual of numbers. His moon is in Pisces, which is such compassion, such grace. Whoa. So his progressed moon is in Pisces, as I said, but his progressed sun has just moved into Sagittarius, not this moment, but recently, after 30 years in deep Scorpio, and that is that visionary, truth-speaking energy again. But not only that, wow. And this would have been a few years ago, but when the progressed sun moved into Sagittarius, which was probably only about a quarter of a year ago, it is coming up to square Sagittarius guide Jupiter in Virgo, which is within orb of sitting on his moon. In fact, if he was born a little bit earlier, his moon may be at 0 Virgo. This is big. He is going to bring change. He is really going to be a change maker, in my opinion, especially with that Chiron Uranus opposition, which a lot of us have in our charts. There was a whole period of time where Uranus and Chiron kept opposing each other. His opposition is very tight. But not only that, as I mentioned, that degree is hot. Pluto by transit is going to go retrograde and oppose his Uranus again. Also, that Jupiter, that's just saying so much. But then as well, look where his progressed Venus is on his North Node, right? This or is about to get to his North Node because Venus moves pretty fast. So that's a fast progression there as well. And so that is really pulling him towards this truth speaking, this visionary, these new ideas. He's going to be a change maker. And there's more. His progressed Mars has moved from 11 Virgo to 26 Libra, and it's now sitting on his Neptune, which is an in Venus sign Libra. Balance, harmony, justice, balancing the scales. And Neptune is softening the peacemaker. This guy's a peacemaker. This guy is just absolutely amazing, in my opinion, for a Pope, let's say. I'm sure that, there'll be things I don't agree with, but overall, I kind of feel like the church, there was a lot of talk about this, about I was on a call last weekend. I'm not going to talk about who was saying it or what the call was, but it was a bunch of astrologers just looking at the transits. And there was a lot of the doom and gloom astrologers going, I think it's going to be a conservative pope. And I'm like, really? Why do you think that? They didn't really give a reason. And they weren't looking at the fact that Australia voted, against, rising autocracy and fascism. And so did Canada and the UK last year to a degree. That's not meaning it's gone away, but the trend is back towards the compassion, the interconnectedness. I'm not going to call it progressivism in the way of political, but that more like realizing we're all in this together. And coming back to this Pope, I think his chart screams it. Let's change out this chart again and give you the moment when, but this sealed the deal to me. Jupiter and the Sun square each other. Progressed Venus square his Sun exactly on his North Node, and it's his time. He's meant to be, and I think he really is going to be quite an adventurous reformer once he settles in a little bit. I mean, how many? I didn't know cardinals and things tweeted for a start. I refuse to call it anything, but anyway. So so back to the chart of the moment that the white smoke came out, and so you can see we have that Libra moon. So that's a peacemaker, somebody who wants to bring harmony and balance. Well, let's look at the chart on its own. Okay, so here's the chart on its own. The moment he was picked, Mars in Leo in the 10th house, the most public chart. He calls himself Pope Leo, but anyway. But I don't think I think it's Leo in the healthy way for him, because Mars has just opposed Pluto right down here at the base of his chart. So I think again, reformer for the people. But look at this ascendant, 24 Libra, conjunct speaker, fixed star speaker, which is one of the most fortunate chart stars in the pantheon. Speaker is said to bring great good fortune and usually kind of abundance and wealth and riches as well. But of course, that can mean all kinds of things. It doesn't have to mean monetary wealth. Then he's got all this divine feminine stuff in his first house. Black Moon Lilith, Haumea, Hecate, Vesta, Juno. I think he's going to be a champion for women's rights in many, many ways, but definitely for those that have been marginalized and disempowered. Look at this, Chiron, Eris, and Mercury in his 7th house of speaking to others and significant relationships. He's going to tell people what they think. Fighting for the outsider being the key to healing. Oh, and then Uranus and Hygeia also together. And this lovely air trine to Chariclo, Pallastina, and asteroid Lilith. I think we kind of have to get over the fact of these divine feminine objects being all about only about women. I think a lot of it is that they are saying, no, we stand up for the marginalized and those that have been disempowered, and that energy of kindness, compassion, feeling, not might is right. It's more that power from, not power over, power from within, not trying to control others. So I actually really love him for a pope. I'm really happy with this pick. I think he's a very spiritual guy. I think he um, wants to support the disenfranchised and the disempowered. So I guess we'll see. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe.